Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 16th of April, comes to you from London. And wow, what a recovery! Markets, US stock markets making new highs. The S&P breaking through. This level is magenta. This Linton level turns magenta. When you break through there, just shows that level has now broken. And so we're at a new all-time high for the S&P 500 index, and the same for the Nasdaq. Who would have thought it? The Nasdaq just breaking to a new high, but it's a smidgen. And I certainly want to see this level broken and held for a few days or a few weeks before I would say that this is the beginning of a new trend. But we're now looking to that target. And so move, sideways move, quite significant, and the market is effectively ignoring the Middle East situation and just working on the basis that that's all going to be cleared up. And so just shows how markets can discount news. So really quite key there, that is just a game changer, really. Looking at the dollar index, this is still weak, below the cloud on the 60-minute. Notice how we go into a new trading range and then we break down and we go into a new trading range. So we did touch a new low this morning, so really interesting that is still falling away. We've had news out on the UK economy this morning that the growth was better in February, and that's we're seeing short-term targets to the upside. Now there's rumour that the Bank of England will not will hold steady on rates, so that uncertainty is still showing in the medium-term chart, so that's quite key. As I mentioned, we've seen markets just generally rising, and that's really quite key. We're just seeing stock market indices all over the place just rising on this sort of euphoria. Japan not yet making a new high, but still bullish above the cloud. We look at the Hang Seng, that was up 1.7%. Not yet fully above the cloud. The Sensex has been badly hit with this Middle East crisis, and that is still below the cloud. And the Aussie market is still not yet making a new high. Lots of news coming out there about fuel shortages, so that is having a little bit of an impact. Looking at Brent crude, we are seeing on the daily chart still have a mixed picture, but waiting to see if we activate this downside target, but we are effectively below the cloud, so really quite interesting that we're seeing that. Remember that if you want to understand these targets, there's lots of resources on the website, on Updater's website, and I recorded last night 120 slide presentation as an update on the targets, and that video is available under the videos in resources. You'll find it on YouTube as well. It's an hour and a half long. It's a really in-depth video and introducing a whole series of new aspects on the price targets as well. So that's quite key there. And remembering you can do the targets in TradingView as well. You'll find those again if you want to sign up to those on TradingView. You can just go to the Updater website, and this just tells you how to get them in TradingView. So more and more people are using them. You're running on Bloomberg, and TradingView is really quite key. So looking at other things that we're seeing here, sugar. This has been a really interesting one. Has been breaking to new lows. This is the 60-minute chart. The daily chart, remembering the time horizon, the daily chart, we were looking at a bit of a recovery there. And then on the 60-minute chart, we saw downside targets kicking in. So that is now looking very bearish indeed. Gold, we talked about having activated a new upside target on both the daily and on the 60-minute chart. So really looks like we're going back to the top of the range at least there. And silver, we have got a little bit less clear picture on the daily, but on the 60-minute chart, that's pushing. We want to see silver above 81, and then we'd look to that 83, 85. So really quite key. Bond markets pulling back as equity markets rally. Bond markets, the bonds are rising, yields are falling, and we saw a lot in the tech majors. Nvidia up now, nudging that $200 mark. those targets were given back at the start of the month, and the first one's been met. So really is significant that we're seeing this recovery. So one of the things I'm doing tomorrow is I'm doing a session for LSEG. And you watch for the LSEG masterclasses and tomorrow's, which will come in here in the morning. You can only watch these live with the London Stock Exchange Group if you're a corporate institutional member, but I put this up here tomorrow, and there'll be one on relative strength, remembering you can watch all the previous ones. So if you're a private user and can't get into the live webinar, I have a recording of it, so you can watch it later, and there will be one on relative strength tomorrow. And as I'm doing relative strength, this is I'm doing a lot of preparation for relative strength today, and I couldn't resist doing just sharing some of the work that I'm doing today on relative strength. So this is a relative strength normalized chart. It shows the value at 100. So if you like, we can just draw a line at the start of the year at 100, and I can set the level there. I can actually just go and set that level. So set the level exactly at 100, and that is now just going to show me as I go through the charts. Now this is interesting here in that this is the relative strength. So this is 87% increase over the market in the year. So this is outperformed by 87%. This is a month ago, 21 days ago, and this is 42 days ago. So I'm reading these values off the chart into my quote screen. Now, what's really interesting, and one of the things I want to demonstrate tomorrow when I do this to the corporate audience that I'm talking to, is a strong relative strength continues to be strong. So it was 54% up on Western Digital 2 months ago, then 67%, and then 87%. So the strong just keeps getting stronger. Now this is ranked on 1 month ago, but on today, if I ranked on a month ago, you can see that Western Digital is still the best performer. Micron is now 6th, but they were up as much as 150%. Here we've got an interesting one, up 45. So strong relative strength continues to be strong, and that's a really key aspect. And then if I go 2 months ago, so you could actually almost say the strongest performers 2 months ago would continue being the strong performers. And of course, this is relative to the market. So that is the relative outperformance versus the NASDAQ in the list. And we can go through these and we can just literally look at the relative strength. I need to make this a tracker chart. And we can just see the relative performance of each one. And you can actually chart the relative strength in the same way. You could draw a trend line, you could draw a trend channel. In fact, I could do that. I can just go and draw a channel for the current, and I can actually just extend those. So there's the channel, and now I can just go through, because that is a channel on all the data, I can actually see the relative strength trends. This one, not so clear. It's interesting how that relative strength is changing, making a new low on the relative strength. So you chart that in exactly the same way, and you can go through and do this on your stocks. It's really, really powerful. So you can see where the strong relative strength trends are, and you can see that that's in the top stocks. And so really interesting. And we get down to Intel, which has had a bit of a spurt. So they've broken out on their relative strength. That's really, really interesting. So I'm doing a lot of work on this today, and we can see, here's a flatter relative strength. That's really quite key. We're doing a lot of work on this today, and that's going to be in the video tomorrow. So we're seeing quite strong market conditions coming back. Of course, I could do this on any list of stocks. I could do this on the UK versus the FTSE Future. I could do this on the German market versus the DAX. So it's and as I say, there'll be a longer hour-long video tomorrow on that up on the Updater website. So that's it for today. Keep an eye on those price targets, and note that you want stocks that are making new highs in uptrends. If the market's making new highs, you definitely want your stocks to be making new highs too. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Bye for now.